Have you ever had a big goal? Something that really mattered to you, and the first thing you wanted to do was tell somebody? Maybe you told your friends. Maybe you posted about it. And for a moment, it felt good. People cheered you on. They said, "That's amazing. You're going to do great." But then something strange happened. A few days later, the fire was gone. You didn't feel the same push anymore. The dream was still there, but your energy had disappeared. Why does that happen? Why do so many people talk about changing their lives, but never actually change? This story may sound simple, but if you really listen, it might change the way you protect your dreams from now on. There was a young man named Simon who lived in a small village. Simon was not lazy. That was not the problem. He had plenty of ideas. One week, he wanted to open the biggest shop in town. The next week, he wanted to learn pottery. After that, he talked about building a house with his own hands. His mind was always full of plans. But there was one thing Simon kept doing wrong. Before he even took the first real step, he told everybody. He would walk through the market and speak loudly about what he was going to do. People listened. They smiled. They praised him. And Simon loved that feeling. But the work never really started. The shop was never opened. The clay was never touched. The house was never built. Simon kept talking about success. But talking about success is not the same as creating it. Every time Simon shared a new dream, the village gave him exactly what he wanted: attention, praise, excitement. People told him he was brave. They told him he had big potential. And for one night, Simon felt like he had already become somebody important. He went home feeling proud. He slept well. But when morning came, something was missing. The energy he had the day before was gone. The plan suddenly felt heavy. The work felt boring. That is the quiet trap of praise. Sometimes when people celebrate your dream too early, your mind starts to feel like you have already done something. You get the reward before the effort. And when that happens, your hunger gets weaker. Simon did not fail because he had no dreams. He failed because he kept spending his motivation on words before he ever used it for action. One evening, after years of starting and quitting, Simon finally admitted that something wasn't working. He was frustrated, tired of making promises to himself and watching them fall apart. That's when an old man from the village sat down beside him. He wasn't known for giving long speeches. He was known for living a life people respected. The next morning, the elder handed Simon 2 seeds. He told him to plant one in the ground. Simon dug a small hole, dropped the seed in, and covered it with soil. Then the elder did something strange. He held the second seed high in the air and called people over to look at it. He talked about how beautiful it would become one day. The children clapped. Everyone smiled. Then he placed that seed on a rock and walked away. Weeks passed. The buried seed was watered quietly. Nobody talked about it. Nobody praised it. And little by little, it began to grow. A tiny green shoot pushed through the soil. It got stronger every day. The seed on the rock never changed. The sun dried it out. Birds picked at it. Eventually, it disappeared. Standing there, Simon finally understood. The elder looked at him and said, "A seed needs silence to grow. And honestly, so do most dreams. The things that matter most usually grow in private, long before anyone else can see them." The elder's lesson wasn't really about seeds. It was about people. He explained something Simon had never noticed before. Every time Simon announced a new goal, he got excited. People congratulated him. They admired his ambition. And without realizing it, he started feeling the reward before doing the work. I've seen this happen in real life more times than I can count. Someone says they're going to lose weight. They tell everyone. They get support and encouragement. For a few days, they feel amazing. Then the excitement fades, and so does the effort. The same thing happens with writing a book, starting a business, learning a new skill, or chasing any big goal. Talking about it feels productive, but it often becomes a substitute for actually doing it. The praise creates a false sense of progress. Your brain enjoys the attention and starts acting like you've already accomplished something. That's dangerous, because real growth happens when nobody is watching. Real progress happens during the boring days, the quiet days, the days when there is nothing to show yet. The more Simon talked, the less he worked, and the less he worked, the further his dreams slipped away. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do with a new goal is keep it to yourself and get to work. After that lesson, Simon decided to try something different. Not a bigger dream, not a better speech, just a different approach. This time he didn't tell anyone what he was planning. No announcements, no promises, no looking for encouragement. He simply chose one small project, a wooden chair. Every evening after work, he went to a quiet corner and worked on it. Some days went well, other days didn't. He cut pieces the wrong size. He made mistakes. He had to start over more than once. But for the first time in his life, he stayed with it. There was nobody to impress. Nobody. Waiting for updates. Just him, the wood, and the work. Little by little, the chair began to take shape. And when it was finally finished, Simon sat down and looked at what he had created. The feeling was different from anything he had experienced before. It wasn't excitement from compliments. It wasn't pride borrowed from other people. It was something deeper. It was the quiet satisfaction that comes from doing what you said you would do. For the first time, Simon wasn't proud of his plans. He was proud of his actions. That chair changed more than Simon's skills. It changed the way he lived. After that, he built a table, then a shelf, then another chair, project after project. He stopped talking about what he was going to do and focused on what he was doing. Over time, people started noticing, not because Simon was making announcements, but because the results were right in front of them. Years later, he became one of the most respected craftsmen in the village. And the funny thing is, he never felt the need to tell people what came next. He learned something most people spend years trying to understand. The world doesn't need to hear every dream you have. It doesn't need constant updates. It doesn't need promises. What people remember is what you build, what you finish, and who you become. So protect your dreams the way you would protect a seed. Don't dig it up every day just to show everyone it's there. Give it time. Give it effort. Let it grow in silence. And one day, when it's strong enough, people won't need an explanation. They'll see the tree for themselves.